Diego State. I'm Steve Weber, the president of San Diego State. On behalf of our students, faculty, staff, the whole San Diego State community, I want to welcome you all and extend a special welcome to the Honorable Jerry Brown, California Attorney General. We are especially honored to have such a dedicated public servant on our campus. Attorney General Brown has devoted his life to the public good. It pleases me that he has this opportunity to see in your faces the future leaders of California. When rocky budget times come, we hope that he will remember how important funding higher education is to fuel the economy of California its future leaders the opportunity to realize your potential that this state so desperately needs. We Americans are hard on our elected officials, especially this year. But I have worked with elected officials in 4 states, and I can assure you from personal experience that with a few isolated exceptions, they are hardworking, honorable public servants. They are doing their part. Now it's up to us. And in particular, that means we've got to vote. I'll be out there and vote. If you care about higher education, if you care about K-12 education, if you care about the environment, then get out there and vote. And if you don't vote, then don't pretend you care. It is now my pleasure to introduce Laura Schofield, Associated Students, Vice President for External Affairs, who is a junior majoring in criminal justice with a minor in political science. Laura.
All right, so you guys ready for Jerry? He's not going to come out till you get a little louder. All right, are you guys ready? Jerry, 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 Jerry,
Thank you very much for, I know standing it can be tiresome, so I won't bore you with a long speech, but I do want to just tell you how grateful I am that you're so activated, you're participating, and you're going to make this, thank you. I see you make it so easy, I didn't say anything and you already applauded. So maybe I just better stop now and just enjoy the plaudits. Anybody know what a plaudit is? Oh yeah. Well, yeah. See, when I went to school, I studied Latin and Greek, so I have a very big vocabulary. But I'm not going to use it on you. But it's great. I sense the enthusiasm, the interest around the state. I noticed in the surveys, which is a very good point, that Democrats are more excited about their candidates than the Republicans are about their candidates. So that's good. And, you know, politics is supposed to be fun, it is exciting, but it can also be tedious and boring and frustrating and irritating at the same time, because it's like life itself. And politics is about, you know, who gets what, when, and how. That's kind of the big abstraction. And we have so many different people claiming so many mutually incompatible things. And so what the legislators have to do, what the governor has to do, is sift through all this stuff and figure out what's best for California, what's best for our future. And because we still have a great state. You know, people say it's not governable and all that kind of stuff. It's not true. California is one of the most prosperous, beautiful places in the whole world. And even though there's a huge gap between what's being spent and what's being received by way of tax revenue, still the state is very wealthy. Last year, the accumulated wealth in 12 months, or what they call the gross state product, was about $1.8 trillion. 1.8 trillion, we got 38 million people. That's more than you're going to see in Canada or Australia or most of the countries of the world are not as wealthy as California. So what our challenge is to spend this money, whether we're in private or public life, and do the best we can. And we have to be efficient and creative and thoughtful, and that's really what the essence of what California is. We're an imaginative place, the very name of California. You know, I'm not going to tell you where that name came from, but you should know. And by the way, there's still a little dispute. People aren't quite clear, actually, where the name came from. There's a certain mystery and mystique, and that's why so many people come here, not just because of the name, but the name symbolizes opportunity. It symbolizes beauty, imagination, something different. And that's why people, immigrants, people from other states, other countries, they want to be here. And they want to come to the State College, State University. We changed the name. We did. But, and by the way, in that campaign, I really want to make sure that your educational opportunity is protected. I don't want to see any qualified person kept out of the university. Not anybody. You know, for most of the time, people thought in California that the university is good for the students, but it's also good for everybody else because of the skills, because of the ideas, because of the thrust that you give to your own life by studying for 4 or 5 years in higher education. So it is a public good, and that's why to starve it is crazy. We should invest more, not less, in higher education. And as you look around the world, you know, there's a lot of people working pretty hard, and they're making a lot less money than Californians need for the way we live. So we're going to have to be smarter, we're going to have to work harder, and we're going to have to collaborate more. And that's the kind of society that I see. It's been California to me. And I have to say about the university, when I went to UC, actually went to Santa Clara, then I went to UC, and the tuition was about $125 a semester. When my mother went there, and that was about 28 years before me, it was $22. So in 22 years, it went from 22 to 125. Now, where it's going from 125 to whatever, it's huge, thousands and thousands. So we got to get the word out that you are the future, and you're going to contribute back so many more times than the taxpayers support you in getting all this wealth, because the wealth is in your mind. It's not just in the ground in minerals, it's in the mind of creativity, okay? So it's really important that we figure out the budget and we make sure we spend the money on the right things and we do it effectively and we channel it into investing in the future. And I have to tell you, after I left the governorship, and it's a long time, most of you weren't born, they built 22 prisons and 1 state college. Okay, now that costs a lot of money. So we got to get our priorities right. We want to invest in building, not just in, correcting or incarcerating. And I'm really committed to public safety, very much so. I'm the Attorney General, I know it very well. But I'm really committed to making sure that each one of you get what you want and don't come out of here so mortgaged with student debt that you can't do all the other things you'd like to do. Because I don't think that's so good. Now, let me just say a couple things about the campaign, because it's a contrast. I mean, she put $170 million, and I put a fraction of that in. Okay? You think so? Well, if she's wasting her money in the campaign, what might she do with our money if she ever got elected? Okay? So, sometimes when you don't have enough, you make better decisions. Because you have to really think about stuff. You just can't do everything. Whatever I want, I'm doing. Doesn't work that way. You've got to make clear choices. You need clarity. You need to really pay attention. And that's what we've had to do. And during the campaign, we didn't spend money. We had very few people, a handful of actual paid staff, most of it volunteer. And everyone was saying, where's your campaign? What's happening? Do something. Well, we waited till Labor Day. And now you've seen, and the results are coming in, and it's pretty darn good. So let me just say three things. Know-how, values, and vision. So know-how. Yeah, I think I know how to do it. I've done it before. And some people say, it's really bad to know stuff. Not knowing is really good. Just show up and say, hey, what do I do now? Did you see, I don't know, there's that old movie called The Candidate with Robert Redford. You know that one? Well, in the movie, he gets elected and says, now what do we do? I don't think we want to do that. I think we got to start. And if I am elected, I'm starting about 10 days after the election to get in with the legislators, get to the budget, get to the solutions. And by the way, I like to say, I have an insider's mind, but I have an outsider's knowledge. No, wait a minute, I said that wrong. I have insider's knowledge, but I have an outsider's mind. That's right. Let me tell you what that's all about. When I was studying to be a Jesuit priest, we were in the order, we were cloistered away, we had no television, no radio, we were just praying and picking grapes and cleaning toilets and studying Latin and all that kind of stuff. And they used to say, you are going to be in the world, but you're not going to be of the world. And that creates a certain distance because you want to save the world, but you don't want to get caught up in some of the bad things, okay? Well, when I talk about politics, I feel I'm in it, but I'm not exactly of it.
Yep.
Now that's a little hard to believe, I admit that. But I do have a sense of it, because when I was growing up, my father was running for office all the time.
Right.
And so what I decided was, hell, I'm going to go become a priest. I don't like all this politics and kissing babies and getting your picture taken and shaking hands with people you don't want to shake hands with. But you know what? I decided it's not so bad after all. So I've gotten used to it. But it's always a struggle. And I do know. I've thought a lot. I've seen it. I know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And politics is like human beings. We've all got flaws. The older you get, the more you know, you can make mistakes, you can have dumb ideas, you can do bad things. But we get up and we get off our feet and we make it better. And that's what we have to do in California. We have to do it in our lives, our collective lives. So knowing is a good thing. Now let me say something about values. Meg's key economic plan is to cut the capital gains tax. And I want to say something clear about that. The capital gains tax is paid 82% by the top 1%. And to be in the top 1% of income earners, you need to earn $500,000 a year. That's 82%. Then if you add the top 4.5%, it's about 92% of the people who pay the tax. So when you give them an elimination of that, you enrich the people who are already at the top. I mean, they've got everything. In fact, you know the proof of how much, I asked Meg Whitman, I said, Ms. Whitman, how much are you going to get if we abolish the capital gains tax? You know what she said? So I don't know.
Oh, she does.
Well, if you don't know, why are you so bothered about it? Why do you want it? If nobody knows it, how can it be an incentive to get rid of it? Okay, think about that. So, the money, here's the other point, that the tax that's being paid, this year will be about $5 billion. In a good year, a few years ago, it was $11 billion. And as the economy comes back, that's the money we're counting on to be able to pay back the schools that we've been cutting back for the last few years. Don't take it away. And, you know, the other point is, suppose you give one of these billionaires or millionaires a $1 million tax break. That's what it is for some of the very wealthy people. What are they going to do? They're going to spend it all in San Diego, all in California? Or are they going to do something far away? So the idea that you can take money, and by the way, the money comes out of the general fund, and the general fund is where you get your money from the state. The general fund provides the money for UC, state colleges, community colleges, and kindergarten through 12. So if you take $5 billion out of that, you're going to take some substantial sum from schools and your education. So that's why this is really an important deal. So that's values. What do you think is going to make it work? My jobs plan is not to get rid of this, create this gigantic tax break. It's to invest in green jobs. It's to create the future. Now, Wiggum was saying, that's no big deal. What are green jobs? It's just a few percent. And I was thinking, I'll go back and I study things in California. In 1940, there were very few people working in building planes and ships. And then with World War II came along, Franklin Roosevelt said, we want this country to make 40,000 planes a year. And actually, by 1944, we were making double that. And then the ships, they were making Liberty ships every 90 days. It was amazing. And lo and behold, 300,000 people that never had these jobs in 1940 were working in building ships and building airplanes. This is a big deal that then spawned aerospace and the whole manufacturing base. If we invest in solar, on rooftops, in the desert, on wind, we can create the jobs. And then, even more important, there's so much energy that leaks out of buildings. And if you retrofit those buildings, you really fix them up, that takes hundreds of thousands of people. We can do that right away. And then we save money. So you're basically, instead of sending so much money to Texas to buy their natural gas, or to Saudi Arabia, or Venezuela, or Nigeria, we can take our own fuel, the sun and the wind and the steam from under the ground, and we can fuel our economy. That's the future. That's what I want to do. And by the way, I know you probably saw some of those ads that said, I don't have a plan. And they even quoted me. I mean, I wish they'd go back and get the context. First of all, I say a lot of things, so just because I said I didn't have a plan didn't mean I didn't have a plan. Oh, maybe I didn't have a plan then, but I got a plan now. So go to the webpage, go to jerrybrown.org. We got plans. Man, you want plans? We got plans. We got a plan on water. We got a plan on the environment. We got a plan on green jobs. We got a plan on education. We got a plan on pension reform. It's all there. Take a look at it. And by the way, but it's a little challenging because we don't have pictures in our plan. I don't know if you've seen that plan. It's half pictures. And it's big print. It's kind of like when they have textbooks sometimes now. My stuff is real. You got to read it. You got to think about it. So download it and think about it, all right? So that's the values. Know-how, get it done. Values, we want to, not just help those who have everything, but you want to make sure that those who don't have everything get a chance to get things. And that's really important. That's the value. And then we get our green jobs. So, look, we got some tough calls. I mean, there's a lot of problems in the state. There's a lot of problems in the country. There's a lot of problems in the world. People are fighting. People are giving our president a bad time. And the real key here for California, as well as the country, is that we have to look into our hearts and our souls, and we got to figure out what we need to do, and we got to do it together. And there's a big future. There's enough in the world. Gandhi once said, there's enough for our need, there's just not enough for our greed. And that's a very powerful idea. There's enough for our need, and we can take care of our needs. And when people talk about the health care bill, yeah, the health care bill's got problems. It's a huge deal. And then people were trying to get a health care bill since Harry Truman was president. So we finally got one. And I wish the Republicans would say, okay, we see some problems here, cost containment, whatever. We want to help you. That's really the spirit. Let's get both parties pulling together to solve the very difficult problems, okay? That's the way I see it. And here's what I think. I do think that sometimes, people fight a lot. Maybe, you fight, people have wars, and at some point they get tired. They say, let's do something else. And I really feel that the breakdown in the state government, the breakdown is now going on long enough that people are really ready for a breakthrough. Yeah. And that's what I'm determined to create over the next 4 years, with your help, okay? So, the last point is we got to get the vote out. We got to get the vote out. my opponent, you know, she has more money than Croesus. Remember who Croesus was? Go check it out on Google, will you? The guy had a lot of gold. Everything he touched turned to gold, which turned out to be quite a problem, by the way. Very hard to eat under those circumstances. And I think maybe my opponent's running into some of the same problems. But in any event, they have all these telephone calls in Cantonese and Tagalog and all this stuff. Well, we don't have all that. So we're depending on you, and we got to get the vote out. And by the way, even if we can't talk all the different languages and mailers and all these different things, we still have a lot of people. And the people, si se puede, correct? Si se puede. Well, I can say that, by the way. I can say that very good, very well, I should say. Okay, so we got to get the vote out, and that's where you come in. I hope you'll be able to do that. There's the State Central Committee here has got stuff, and we just got to get the vote out because we don't want to take anything for granted. Things are looking pretty good, but we still got 12 days to go. I really am counting on you. And then when we get there, then the problems begin. But we're going to solve them. I'm very optimistic on California. I've lived here all my life. I've seen recessions. They come, they go. California always comes back. Maybe it'll take a couple of years longer, but this state is on the move. We're a world center of creativity, of diversity, of inclusion, and that's the way it's going to stay. Thank you very much. Let's go out and win. Thank you.